Good evening. I'm Spot On Weather meteorologist Matthew Euler. Tonight's presentation, I'm doing a special video because we have an anomalously deep trough that's going to be moving in the eastern United States, producing some significantly cooler than normal air, especially when we consider it's May. So tonight's video presentation is titled A Nation Divided. And why is it a nation divided? Because in the Western U.S., over the coming 7 days or so, we're going to have a huge ridge of higher pressure pushing up into Western Canada, into Alaska. And what goes up in the atmosphere must come down. So we'll have a downstream trough and a significant dip in the jet stream for this time of year, forcing cooler air south. Now, being that it's May, it won't be cold air. But indeed, we're going to definitely have a nation divided between warmth in the west and cooler temperatures in the east. So let's get right to it here at Spot On Weather. I'm going to start things off with showing you the 2-meter temperature anomalies. Now these are in degrees Celsius from the GFS model, the midday run today on 3 May. The image on the left. Now let me just explain before I get into this. The purple, the blue shadings indicate temperatures below normal or cooler than average. The orange and the reddish colors indicate temperatures that are well above average. There is a scale there on the right that extends in the vertical that shows you the temperature departures, how far in degrees Celsius temperatures are from the climatology normal level for this time of year in early May. So the image on the left, I'm starting off with the 2-meter temperature anomaly in degrees Celsius, showing you Tuesday afternoon, 5 May, the purple shading extending from eastern Iowa into northern Illinois across the Ohio River Valley into Virginia and the mid-Atlantic states. We can see there's significant cool down at 2 meters. That generally is equating that shading, that purple shading, between 12 and 15 degrees cooler than average. And this is an image of the afternoon hours. Image on the right shows again that blue and purple shading across the eastern United States, extending from the Midwest all the way actually down to northern Florida and the Gulf Coast on the 7th of May. The image on the right shows 7 May. And these are just a couple temperature anomaly charts that I like to look at. Moving on to this next Saturday, this upcoming weekend, 9 May. Again, you see the purple and the blue shading from the Midwest to the East Coast. Look at the Western U.S., though, especially in California, up through Pacific Northwest, but the heat is mainly confined to parts of Nevada and California and Arizona on Saturday, the 9th of May there, the image on the left, the graphic on the left. So you see how much warmer it is out in the southwest U.S. compared to the eastern U.S. And again, that's our nation divided, major change in temperature from west to east coast. The image on the right shows the temperature anomalies at 2 meters in degrees Celsius for the 12th of May. And again, look at the purple shading. What's really impressive about this, that blue and purple shading, the below normal temperatures, is how widespread these temperatures are, these below normal readings, especially considering that the image on the right is the 12th of May. So it's real interesting. Just wanted to show you in this special video how much cooler than normal the temperatures are going to be, especially we're on the 3rd of May today. Basically, the next 7 to 10 days, we're looking at below normal temperatures across the eastern United States. The European model, a couple graphics from the European model today, agrees with the GFS, with the placement of the trough, the upper level trough, the dip in the jet stream in the eastern U.S. Now, on the European graphics here, the green and the purple shading, green, purple, and blue shading indicates temperatures below normal, while the orange and the red shading indicate temperatures above normal. The graphic on the left shows the European temperature anomalies, again at 2 meters. This time it's in degrees Fahrenheit on the European model. But in general, the image on the left, the graphic on the left shows this Tuesday afternoon, the 5th of May, Cinco de Mayo, is looking chilly from Minnesota all the way down into Virginia. And then the image on the right shows, again, much cooler than normal temperatures coming up for the upcoming weekend. The Europeans indicating temperatures It could be 15 to 20 degrees Fahrenheit below normal during the afternoon hours this Saturday. So again, look at the differences here between the west and the east coast on that graphic on the right. And you can see much above normal temperatures out west, much cooler than normal temperatures in the eastern United States. Looking at the GFS, a couple of the upper air charts, the height anomalies. This one's the GFS deterministic model at 500 millibars. The height anomalies, 500 millibars equates to about 18,000 feet above where we live here at the ground. The graphic on the left shows the blue shading is generally indicative of lower than normal upper level heights. The peachish color and the kind of like the lighter shade of red, that indicates above normal heights. Now, above normal heights are generally associated with what's known as upper level ridges in the atmosphere, and the below normal heights are associated with those troughs. That's cooler areas of the atmosphere, those troughs. So the graphic on the left shows this Tuesday, the graphic on the left there, the image on the left shows this upcoming Thursday, May 7th. You can see all that blue shading and below normal heights at 18,000 feet, extending from eastern Canada all the way down into Florida. While you see that lighter color, the maroon reddish color out in the Western U.S. indicating above normal heights. Now, things get more interesting as we head towards the weekend. As we get towards Saturday, May 9th, you can see the below normal temperatures below normal heights generally in the Eastern U.S. again, extending from Pennsylvania down into the Mid-Atlantic region. Out west, you see the ridge really poking itself up. The GFS deterministic 500 millibar height anomalies continued. The graphic on the left shows next Monday, May 11th. You see the blue shading and the placement of the trough, the below normal heights there at 18,000 feet over the Midwest and Eastern U.S. And you see, again, the graphic on the right through the 12th of May, next Tuesday. Again, look at how deep the trough is and highly amplified that trough is for this time of year. The European deterministic model, the 500 millibar height anomalies, very similar and in great agreement with the GFS model. The graphic on the left shows that blue shading and below normal heights again over the Eastern U.S., while above normal heights are across the Western U.S. Graphic on the right for Saturday, the 9th of May, this upcoming Saturday. You got a very deeply amplified trough again, extending from lower Michigan down into the eastern United States. And you have that ridge poking itself or building out over the west coast. And then moving along to Sunday, May 10th, image on the left there on the European shows a digging trough again at 18,000 feet with the coolest or lowest greatest height anomalies over New England and with the coolest temperatures and much warmer conditions out in the western U.S. So again, the general pattern is for a trough in the east and a ridge in the west. Now, one thing I want to mention to you is if we had a pattern like this in the wintertime, it would be very, very cold. However, we are in the month of May, and as a result, the sun is king this time of year. What do I mean by that? All right, this is an example of the solar elevation. The highest point the sun reaches the sky this time of year. I have 69.1 degrees solar elevation on the 3rd of May today, and then by the 10th of May, that solar angle or that highest point the sun gets in the sky, that solar elevation is 71 degrees on 10 May. And I have a graphic here kind of just showing you the different sun paths throughout the sky throughout the course of the year. Around December 21st, the summer solstice, the solar elevation is very low. It's generally for Virginia Beach. That's what these numbers are for, is for Virginia Beach. Around December 21st, the winter solstice, the solar elevation is only about 30 degrees above the horizon. Whereas June 21st, the summer solstice, the solar elevation, the highest point the sun reaches in the sky on summer solstice is generally up around 76.9 degrees solar elevation. So there's a big difference and the path at which the sun takes across the sky throughout the course of the year. And we're basically just over a month, a little bit over about a month and a half out from the summer solstice in June 21st. But in May, we have again, look at those solar elevation values here in Virginia Beach. 69.1 degrees above the horizon on the 3rd of May today. 71 degrees solar elevation on 10 May. So the sun is much more direct when it's that high in the sky. Therefore, it heats surface areas much more efficiently as compared to the winter when it's much lower above the horizon. Additionally, this is the solar radiation levels for the past week for Virginia Beach. The graph shows the elevation, the radiation levels, generally ranging from 0 to 1300 watts per square meter, the vertical axis on the left, and these blue spikes indicate the general peaks of the solar radiation. And you can see some of these solar radiation levels in watts per square meter are beginning to exceed 700 watts per square meter for sure. And I even have some radiation levels above 1100 watts per square meter. So again, the sun, what I'm trying to explain with sun being king this time of year, is the solar radiation levels are much more intense or higher as compared to the winter when the sun is much lower on the horizon. So we have much more intense radiation. We got a higher position of the sun in the sky, higher solar elevation. And we also have longer daylight hours this time of year. This shows you, courtesy of Time and Date website, this shows generally that we have 13 hours and 47 minutes of daylight on the 3rd of May. And then we have 14 hours of daylight on the 10th of May. So we're seeing a lot of daylight, a lot of time where we're basically looking at more daylight than nighttime, which allows greater variation of temperatures, a greater modification to air masses, I would say. Okay, so we have a few factors that actually act to offset the cooling temperatures. The sun is king this time of year, the radiation levels are higher, and the daylight hours are longer. So final thoughts into the video tonight. The jet stream is going to dig out a trough from eastern Canada into the eastern U.S. with the coolest temperatures in the east and the warmest temperatures out west. And that's why I term this video A Nation Divided. We got a big difference in temperatures. If you were to travel from the east to the west coast or vice versa, you would definitely feel a big difference in temperatures from one coast to the other. Now, as far as the coolest days for the Hampton Road cities, at this time, this is subject to change. It could change slightly. We are expecting the coolest temperatures for Hampton Road cities on Tuesday, the 5th of May, Cinco de Mayo, Thursday, the 7th of May, through Sunday, the 10th of May. And on the coolest days, we're expecting high temperatures to range between 60 and 65 degrees, which is 10 to 15 degrees below the average. Right now, the average, you're looking at about 72, 73 degrees. So this is pretty significant for this time of year. Additionally, we're expecting periods of showers this week as the cold fronts, along with weak upper air disturbances, move through the area. Now, we were not expecting all-day washouts by any stretch. There'll just be occasional periods of showers. So, again, it won't be a complete washout of a day. Additionally, the upper-level trough is going to... We really don't see any changes with this pattern with the upper-level trough in the east, with cooler air masses descending into the northeast and mid-Atlantic. We don't see any changes with that positioning of the upper-level trough with this upper air pattern until around the middle of May. And then we expect the upper-level trough to lift out with a return to more seasonable temperatures into the 70s. And as that jet stream will flatten and become more zonal. And what I mean by zonal is it's more west to east. Additionally, there's no indications of any major warm-ups or any ridges building up along the east coast at this time, at least through the third week of May. It does not look like that. So again, I wanted to just get this special video out because, this is pretty significant for this time of year. There could even be some wet snowflakes mixed in the further north you go up towards New York State. and even in northern Pennsylvania, that area, interior New England, there could even be wet snowflakes mixed in with some of these cooler air masses, the digging of the trough, cooler air masses. We could even see some wet snowflakes, which is pretty incredible for this time of year. Again, a nation divided, cool air in the east, extremely warm to hot air out west, under that dome, under that ridge. And again, the charts to back it up, temperature anomalies, purple and blue shading much below normal, the orange and the red shading much above normal. And just going through the progression, starting with the 5th of May on the left, all the way through the 12th of May on the right of this particular slide. Just showing a massive intrusion of cooler than normal air. In the European model, the green and the purple shadings indicate the greatest departures from normal, the coolest temperature readings, while the orange shading indicates the warmest. So look at that split between the east and the west. Again, east versus west coast. A tale of two seasons, really. And then again, backing it up with some of the height anomalies at 500 millibars or 18,000 feet. Blue shading indicating below normal heights and troughs. The maroon and the peach shadings indicate ridges and above normal heights. All right. So again, there you go. And again, the sun is king this time of year. 3 factors when we talk about the solar aspect: the elevation, the solar elevation, the height of the sun above the horizon, ranging from 69 to 71 degrees this time of year for Virginia Beach. The solar radiation levels are starting to get more intense. That indicates with the sun higher in the sky, there's going to be greater heating per surface unit area, and therefore you're going to have much greater solar radiation levels as well. And we're starting to see that with these spikes, these peaks in the solar radiation graph. And then the longer daylight hours. 13 hours, 47 minutes of daylight today on the 3rd of May. And that extends out to 14 hours of daylight by the 10th of May. So we are looking at a considerable amount of daylight during the warmest time of the year, of course. So that wraps things up from Spot On Weather. I appreciate you taking a look at the video, and I also appreciate you subscribing to the video. Continue to follow me on social media. Twitter and Facebook is where I do the most posts. I share a lot of graphics and some cool cloud photos. Additionally, our Spot On Weather Weebly website is looking really good right now. Check it out sometime. Check out the weather photo gallery. Check out some of the cool sky cloud pictures, as well as some of the more significant weather we've seen here across the Mid-Atlantic and the Southeast Virginia. All right, that wraps things up tonight. I hope everybody has a safe, good evening here. And please take care during the COVID outbreak. Again, stay safe out there. Best wishes for good health to you and your families. All right, take care. Spot On Weather. If we're not spot on, we're not doing it right. Have a great evening, everyone.